How's it going, everyone? Just wanted to recap the other day discussing my interview that took place at the Jeff Mara podcast. It went very well, and I'm happy about it. And even though the first half an hour, for whatever mystical reason, we couldn't get Zoom to work, and it went very well. I really liked the questions that he asked, they were very interesting and detailed. Um, and one question in particular really stuck out to me, which I don't think I was ever asked in the other podcasts that I've been on. And that is so for those of you that don't know about my experience, I was initially in what you would think of as an astral body, which is similar to our current body. But when I went up to the ethereal, timeless realm, I dissipated from that astral body and simply became a pure form of consciousness that was in a blue color and it looked like a ball. And that's who I saw around me as well, other sort of different colored forms of pure consciousness. So the host asked me if I lost my sense of identity of who I was as Daniel when I became that consciousness. And you know what? I will tell you that I did not. I did not lose my sense of me, but what I will say is that I became a more purified, more refined, more clear version of self. So strip away all the filters, strip away all the nonsense and just the tons of weight that is just placed upon our consciousness in this incarnation, and just let all of that go in its purest, most amazing form. And what you have is the real you. It's you in the most best way you can imagine. So, and I'm very happy about this. And I've discussed this actually with this one YouTuber called Cyrus Kirkpatrick, and an author in which, you know, he discusses such topics about identity and the sense of self and all of that. So I just thought it was really interesting that he asked me that question, and absolutely not. Certainly, again, like, I did feel like this life on this realm was some sort of distant memory or something like that. But did I lose my identity? No. And I'm very glad I didn't, because I don't want to. There's certainly things I don't want to take up there, but everyone still, I believe, has an inner desire to be them. They just want to be the purest form of who they are, I believe. So anyway, when that interview's ready, I'll share it actually down below on this video. So if you guys want to see it, um, it will be in the comments down below. Other than that, just I want to read a chapter from a book I'm reading about. It's about strange disappearances, and this is a story I've never heard before, and it's really interesting. And it's about a disappearance that occurred in World War I, and I hope you find it interesting. Check this out. One of the fiercest engagements of the First World War was the Battle of Gallipoli between British troops and soldiers of the Ottoman Empire. Although the war would ultimately see the Ottoman Empire defeated and reduced to the borders of modern-day state of Turkey, the Battle of Gallipoli proved to be a stunning defeat for the British. Many things went wrong during the engagement. To begin with, many of the British landing craft were blown out of the water by landmines before the troops they carried could even get ashore. On another occasion, the Brits got lost in confusion of battle and advanced in the wrong direction. Superstitious British soldiers were soon telling each other that there was some kind of curse on their efforts to take Gallipoli, and that was before August 21st, 1915, when an entire regiment of their comrades mysteriously disappeared right in front of their eyes. This incident occurred in the early morning hours when the fighting was reaching its climax. The soldiers were marching toward a position known as Hill 60 when they noticed some strange looking clouds hovering above the hill. The clouds were shaped like large loaves of bread and grayish in color. The sky was completely clear except for these odd clouds. The clouds looked decidedly out of place, and even though a strong breeze was blowing, the clouds remained motionless in the sky. The men felt a little uneasy marching under the strange aerial phenomenon, but their officers urged them on. As they got closer, they noticed that one of the clouds had descended to the ground and seemed to be resting right on top of the hill. The cloud was estimated to be some 2,400 yards long and 600 yards high. It also seemed to be incredibly dense and was reported to be almost solid looking in structure. The account comes from 22 soldiers who were keeping a lookout from the trenches as the several hundred men of the 1st, 4th Norfolk Brigade charged forward, seeming completely oblivious to the odd cloud that they were marching into. This in itself isn't too surprising, considering from a distance, uh, considering the nature of clouds, a cloud that looks very solid from a distance may be nothing but misty fog up close. But what happened next confirmed that this supposed cloud was very strange indeed. After every single soldier of the 4th Norfolk disappeared up on the hill and into the cloud, onlookers saw the cloud suddenly lift up in the air and began moving away from the battlefield. And to their intense astonishment, the troops that had been on Hill 60 just moments ago were now nowhere to be seen. Men began making jokes that they had been taken up by the cloud, but it was no laughing matter when it was found that hundreds of men of the 1st, 4th Norfolk truly were missing in action. The disappearance of this entire battalion was not forgotten by the British High Command. When the Turks were finally defeated at the end of World War I, the British wasted no time in demanding that these missing men, whom they assumed must have been taken prisoner, be released. But the Turkish officials insisted that they knew nothing about the 1st, 4th Norfolk Regiment and were adamant that they were not taken prisoner. Turcophobes have long insinuated that these officials, having heard murmurings of the wild story about the cloud taking up the troops, were hoping that the tale would help them cover up what really happened and a massacre of British POWs. But the fact that there's still no word as to what happened to these men over 100 years later had only served to reinforce the legend that the entire regiment was sucked up by some mysterious paranormal force that no one or now can quite understand. What really happened in Gallipoli, we can only guess.